Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where every day we explore another area. We explore a different area of how technology is transforming our life, our business, or indeed our world. And today I want to talk about the subject that we all love to hate, banking. And I think we're all surrounded by digital experiences and the simplification of everything now in a world of one-click checkouts where we can get exactly what we want within just a swipe or a click. But many areas out there still seem intent on overcomplicating everything. I mean, a personal story, for example, was a recent company who are a huge company, but shall remain nameless, that I recently did a little bit of work for. And instead of me sending my invoice over once I'd completed the work through some online software, they said to me, "Neil, we can't do that. We need to add you to our system." Now, after various emails and calls, it took 1 month for them to add me onto the system, and then another 2 hours and 3 phone calls to get me set up on the SAP Ariba system that they use. So here we have it. 99% of my clients, I send an invoice, they hit pay, everything's sorted. Why do experiences in the financial world vary so much? So today, I want to talk about how the shutdown of physical branches and manual processes being unavailable have led to the profound significance of the access to digital services. And I also want to talk about how banking modernisation has suddenly become an urgent feat, leaving banking management to question which programs truly make a difference to the end user. And I think we should also explore why focusing on providing solutions that offer the greatest relief to customers is imperative right now. So with all that in mind, I'm going to get on my soapbox and I invited John Dangoia onto the podcast, who's going to be joining me from Finacle, which is a core banking product developed by Infosys. As I'm sure many of you will know, Infosys provides universal digital banking functionality to banks all over the world. And Finacle is used by banks across 100 countries to serve over 1 billion customers. So I think we've got the perfect guest to explore this topic today. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Atlanta, where John is waiting to speak with us now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. First of all, Neil, thank you so much for having me today. These are really exciting times for Infosys and Finacle to help banks pave the way for their digital future. So my name is John Dangoia, and I head up our product management team for Finacle for the US and Europe. My role, in simple terms, is to lead our product strategy and execution so that we ensure that we are more relevant than ever for our financial service clients around the world. So we're a high-growth software division within the overall Infosys, and our mission is to deliver better banking through technology for our 500 or so clients around the world. Now, on a personal level, I have quite a passion for product management and driving product innovation, leading teams, being the quarterback of sorts, which is why I've gravitated to these type of executive roles now for the past 20 years. So that's a little bit about me.
And for people just tuning in and hearing about Finacle for the first time, like you said, it is a core banking product developed by Infosys that provides universal digital banking. That provides universal digital banking functionality to banks. But for people that are hearing about you for the first time, can you set the scene and tell the listeners a little bit more about the kind of problems that you're solving with technology?
So for first and foremost, we help financial institutions both on the commercial and the retail side in their digital transformation journeys with some of our cutting edge solutions that we bring to market. These financial institutions can leverage the Finacle suite so they can solve all the business challenges and innovate and launch great new products and And at the end of the day, try to create frictionless banking experiences for their customers. So what I like to talk to people about when they're first learning about Finacle is there's really three distinct reasons why we stand apart. The fact that we have a global platform that's leveraging some of the best and brightest minds across the world. The second would be that we have a highly configurable product. And then the third is that we're truly one of the most scalable solutions in our business in the world. So, we're proud to do business with financial institutions of all sizes and business models across over 100 countries, if you can believe that, and serve over 1 billion consumers. So to describe that depth and breadth of our client base, let me just draw you a little picture. Think 4 quadrants. The first are the traditional banks, the one with the large branch networks that most of us see about. Our client list is lengthy in the area and includes banks like DBS Singapore, Santander, others that are rated as some of the best banks in the world. The next category would be the digital native banks like Marcus by Goldman Sachs, a new entry into the market, and Discover Financial in the US. We also do business with fintechs like Paytm in India. And the last are the non-banks. We actually do some business with non-banks. One example would be the India Post Office. So as an example, India Post Office actually has the largest branch network in the world, if you can believe that, of banks. And in fact, just a few years back, we completed the world's largest core banking transformation for India Post. They service over 560 million consumers. So we believe within our experience and customer base is one of the reasons why we continue to be ranked high with our analysts like Gartner, Forrester, and others. And so if you don't mind, I'll just tell a little story about our client event we had in Dubai last year. I think it's a great example of some of the things we do. Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Oh, great. So last year, I got the pleasure to join our clients in our annual conference that we happened to have in Dubai last year. And I'll tell you that it was just a wonderful conference. Clients from all over the world, including all the major countries were there, including the US, UK, Europe, United Emirates, along all those ways. And so the topic was scaling digital, and different cultures were together, lots of great ideas. And one of the great things about the conference is we let our clients do most of the talking. And what was striking to me was that despite being in different markets, different regulatory environments, the mission was very, very similar. All about scaling digital, all about finding ways to serve customers in a better way. And so what was interesting was that despite being in these different markets, different regulatory environments, so imagine that if we took this and for a second brought all those ideas together and put that into our platform with the best and brightest from across the globe, working side by side with us. And so for us, that's what's happening. And so from one of those clients was Emirates NBD, and they were talking about their new Live Bank entity success with millennials. Now, this is an all-digital bank that they launched in 2017. And let me tell you about the success they've had to date. It's been tremendous. They were able to sign up over 370,000 new customers, 5 of 6 which are millennials, and acquire customers at a 10 to 20% less than the cost of a traditional bank. All accounts are open instantly from smartphones. They've got an AI-enabled assistant at their fingertips that they call Olivia. They've got digital wallets and a number of other great features. And the other thing that's neat about this is really a lifestyle brand that is growing 30% faster than their nearest competitor. And now services, you can believe it or not, over 8% of the population of United Emirates on the Finacle platform. Now, to me, that's innovation, and we're really proud to partner with them.
Great story there, isn't it? And I think as well, the point that you've got 1 billion customers in 100 different countries is just phenomenal as well. But I am curious, are you seeing any particular trends emerging in the financial services space as a result of COVID-19 this year, or anything else you can share around trends?
Yeah, I sure can. First of all, I want to say all our hearts go out to all the people and businesses that have been impacted by this pandemic. I just don't believe anyone could have predicted anything like this. And the crisis is affecting people in a way, of course, we never imagined. And unfortunately, it's not near the end right now. And COVID-19 has affected the way companies do business in every vertical, as we're seeing right now in financial services, is really no exception. There's going to be winners and losers when all this is said and done, like we're seeing in other verticals. I would say to start with financial institutions, because they're an essential service and they need to keep their operations running. They've got a heightened reliance right now on digital channels for servicing as well as acquiring all their customers. This is different than it was just months ago. Similarly, there's a dramatic increase in the number of employees accessing their systems remotely. As we all know, as bank operations have moved to working from home, this is really unprecedented in the banking business to run operations from home. So within a span of days, for example, in the US, the banks had to start accepting applications for the PPP program and disperse these loans. And some of our clients said they had done more loans in April than they had completed in all of 2019, if you can imagine that. Quite a stress on the system. Unfortunately, call centers have been overrun with multiples of their normal volume. In a matter of days, the issue of strained credit books and near zero or negative interest rates is happening as we speak. These combined with kind of the payment deferrals they're having to work with customers on, trying to do workouts with their loans, and then overall some of the challenges with their corporates with their short-term financial and liquidity stress. So what the banks are doing is they've responded by reimagining some of their operational processes and even making changes on the fly, like recalibrating credit policies sometimes on a daily basis. So with short-term challenges, I think getting addressed like this one by one, what we're starting to see now in the last, say, 30 days is we see that focus kind of shifting back towards mid and long-term strategies. The crisis efforts are at least coming into norm a bit, and then they're looking to reestablish and gain some of that lost momentum. Financial institutions, they're really going to have to reassess all of their operational strategies long-term because we think a lot of these changes will remain.
And of course, a lot of these financial institutions that we're talking about are all working to recover from the impact of COVID-19. So what kind of challenges and opportunities do you think new technologies will present to them?
Well, we've got a lot of them for sure. I would say that low-touch, high-tech is going to continue to be a priority for some time, even after the pandemic is over. We're, again, seeing such a heightened focus on digital channels, online and mobile. I think it's also expected that we'll need to continue to strengthen or scale up these channels because some of them just aren't used to the volume that's happening come through. I think financial institutions are also examining, in some cases, ready to go live with some new and alternative digital channels like WhatsApp banking and video banking because they realize that the trips to the branch will be less and less going forward. Advanced analytics and AI, I think, is already and will continue to be more pervasive, whether it's for underwriting of loans or risk assessment, transaction, fraud monitoring, you name it. Analytics and AI has to play and will play a really big role in a post-COVID scenario. I think we're already seeing the usage of bots and other assisted tools to grow because of the need to ease the reliance on human interactions with some of the call centers. So that's sort of on the operational side. I'd say on the corporate banking side, banks have to continue to innovate on the cash management side, supply chain finance. We know that some of the corporates and small to medium enterprises are the most stressed in this environment right now. So I also think open banking concepts will continue to gain some momentum. That's something that the industry has really been pushing for some time. In some countries, it's moving faster than others. But I think that that's going to continue to gain momentum because we need that in the industry. We want the fintechs to be part of the process. We want new innovation coming in all over. But I will say that to answer the second part of your question, some of these innovations are bound to pose a few challenges as well. One being certainly cybersecurity. Financial institutions have got to really look at their cyber practices today. Many of them are bolstering up some of their security around the board. The other thing is maintainability. I think they're working very hard to keep their systems running during this time. But I would say, irrespective of all these challenges, one positive I am seeing right now is that we have seen our request for proposal, or as we say in our industry, RFPs, actually triple during this pandemic. I think many banks realize they need to double down their efforts to improve their digital platforms right now. And it's really not a time to step back, which I think is encouraging not only for our industry, but certainly for consumers and corporates alike, because they're all about an improved experience these days, and it takes investment, and we're seeing that happen.
And technology is transforming this space at breakneck speed at the moment. And the phrase digital transformation just doesn't seem to be big enough to cover it all, So how do you see the industry evolving with the digitization of lending, corporate banking transformation, retail banking transformation, branch and mobile payments, etc.? Because you could go on, couldn't you?
No, it's true. I think it's so true in our industry as well. And I think technology, what's happening is technology is enabling organizational transformation in so many ways. Things like the emergence of cloud models. Just years ago, banks were very nervous about going to the cloud. They thought this is going to be a big security risk. Today, we've got multiple cloud providers that we work with and our customers work with to go there. Rapid changes in other network infrastructure and other areas. So really, there is a lot to do behind digital transformation. However, digital does continue to be a huge focal point. I think that digital and tech transformations must go hand in hand. When I think about it, I think that, sometimes technology transformations are focused on cost savings, infrastructure, and some other operational things, but digital sometimes is more strategic in nature. All about improving that customer engagement and innovation. So I think for organizations to really be successful in this rapidly changing tech landscape that we live in, they've got to have a really well thought out, well vetted IT transformation strategy that actually complements and stays in lockstep with the digital transformation that's happening. So a lot to do, lots happening. The good news is we have a lot of very talented people in this industry that are working night and day to make sure that we're getting there and we start to deliver that Amazon experience that all consumers expect these days.
That is so true what you're saying there. I recently had a company that I did a little bit of work for, and I sent them an invoice. Now, usually I send it through automatic invoicing.
Mm-hmm.
They hit the pay button, off it goes. But it was like, no, we need to onboard you onto our system, which took nearly a month. And then it was, can you now sign up to SAP Ariba or something like that? And then can you now amalgamate it all together for me? And I'm like, really? In 2020, are we still doing this? But I mean, can you further expand on the revolution of the banking industry with payments, remittance, channels, robotic process automation, etc.? Because there are elements like I've just given you there, which are bad examples, but equally there's a lot of exciting stuff happening, isn't there?
No, there really is. Digitization in the banking business has really amped up and become more pervasive, I'd say, in the last 5 to 10 years when banks realize they're actually technology companies. At the end of the day, the handshake of the days past, while it still happens, for some things and some transactions, it's all about the technology platform. And so we see fintech players coming in, which is great for the industry in areas like lending, payment processing, consumer banker, and they're really challenging some of the industry heavyweights. And I think the industry heavyweights are now responding to the challenges with accelerated digital strategies of their own. So I think importantly at the heart of it all is helping to reinvent the customer journeys, right? You just gave an example of a customer journey that was challenging, but we want to make the customer journeys a very good experience with banking. That's what we come to work to do every day. And so process intensive areas like consumer banking and lending are having more and more seamless operational elements to them, in some cases with no human intervention. Real-time payments is in place in many markets and coming to others. Kiosks and bots at branches serve customers going to gain more momentum. And then even less automated areas like the corporate banking side are really starting to ramp up in automation and digitization. Why? Because all the leaders at the corporate companies are also expecting that Amazon experience. And so they expect that experience to be good even on the corporate side. I think the other thing I would say is that the industry players have now really started to realize the power of data, the assimilation and aggregation of all the data that the banks have, and most importantly, to use that data to give a better experience for their customers through analytics, machine learning, and so forth, to be the key element that drives that innovation coming in the future.
There's a great quote I heard a few years ago, and it said that the last experience that we all have then becomes the standard expectation for the future. And I think that's so true. And like you said a few moments ago, everyone wants the Amazon experience, but with their banking. And as a result of that, demand for enterprise application increases. But there is a risk that everyone's going to go off and trying to do too much at once. And it's just not possible. So can you tell me about a little bit more on that subject, about how and why at Finacle you're more focused on that, a step change rather than those large transformations trying to solve everything at once? And also, do you think digital transformations are much more of a journey than just that end destination?
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. Digital transformation isn't a one-step process. So when we talk to our clients about it, it's really about a continuous journey and a very planned attack over, say, a 5-year horizon. In fact, the overall tech transformation itself should be viewed as a step-by-step process than a massive one-time change. The modern day tech landscape in any bank is typically a complex spider web of interlinked applications, some legacy, some new. So replacing or transforming that entire landscape at one time is a huge risk. And banks traditionally are wanting to work on more of a step change. So thus the emergence of what we call enterprise applications, which are modular, much less intrusive, but at the same time can offer significant business benefits at the organizational level. So one of the things we've been working very diligently at Finacle is really embracing this philosophy. And so our solutions are much more modular and microservices based today, which allows quite a bit of flexibility. It enables the banks really to embark on what we call a progressive transformation journey. So, for example, our enterprise liquidity module, our virtual account management solution, is something that we can deploy quite easily for the corporate customers and can be integrated to any DDA or payment system or other host system. Similar story with our enterprise limits and collaterals module, which can help banks to manage the credit exposure across business segments, which is really timely right now with all the things going on with COVID. But, I'll borrow a quote from Dan Schulman from PayPal that I saw him speak of in a conference one time. And he said, this technology for banking and for financial services is really an and business today. It's not an or business. We've got to bring in innovation from various parts of the country and through the world to bring the best experience. And when we do that, we'll all be very successful.
Love that. And of course, it couldn't be a banking podcast or a podcast based around banking and technology without mentioning the S word. So apologies for that. But what are the security risks of deploying automated technologies in banking systems, both for the provider and the consumer?
Yeah, I'm not the security expert, but I'll say that given that technology has reshaped banking and these customer journeys and really enabled banks to engage with customers in so many new ways that weren't even around just a few years ago, the technology and the security risks have gone up. There's no doubt. I think these risks can stem from multiple things. Within that, more complex risks such as cyber threats, data management, data privacy risks, they just need a lot more active engagement from the technology teams to reassess the security mechanisms that we see frequently and then plug the gaps proactively. And essentially, we've doubled down on our security efforts before any of our software goes out to our banks. And I know the banks do the same thing these days. And on the consumer front, of course, they're also at risk, right? In the digitally connected world, consumers run into those same cyber threats, identity theft issues, data security issues. But the good news is there's a number of tools that we have available and techniques like, extended complex passwords, multi-factor authentication, biometrics, I think are becoming quite common right now, other mobile authentications. And this really helps us and our customers to protect from such risks. I think in the broader spectrum of things, though, the advantage of technology really outweigh the risks. And so I think it's no longer a question of better service versus better security. It's really the new norm is better service and better security. So we adopt that mantra here and focus a lot on it at Infosys Finacle here.
Excellent. And before I let you go, I'm going to ask you to gaze into your virtual crystal ball now and maybe leave listeners with a vision of what the future of banking will look like and what kind of programs will genuinely make a difference to the end user.
Oh, great. So I think over the years, new products, new business line, new ways of servicing customers have really emerged. Even some of the new business models we never could have dreamed up are happening, where banking is offered as an embedded service. You're starting to see some of that. But without a doubt, technology's played a vital role in that transformation. I think, to put it simply, technology is bringing banking to the fingertips of customers. And I think that's going to continue to accelerate in the years coming. We have to. I think branches will still exist, but I think it's fair to say the transactions in branch will continue to go down. I think customers right now are getting used to doing mobile banking. There's been a number of studies where, call it the 50 plus generation have really embraced technology right now in this environment. For some of them, first ventured into mobile banking, but they continue to use it and the users going up quite drastically. I think there also will be more digital-only banks that emerge, like our Emirates by Live example. I see the trend of continuous innovation going forward too, be it in the area of payments, customer engagement, digital channels, lending, supply chain management. They're going to happen. We'll see huge leaps in technologies like blockchain, analytics, AI, RPA over the coming years. I think what that will do is it'll also be able to reach the underserved more quickly out there, which is a good thing for our society. I think they're also going to be able to positively impact a number of people across the geographies. So to come back full circle, I think this is why at Infosys Finacle, we are so enthusiastic about sharing our story of our global platform capabilities, our configurability and scalability with more and more clients during this challenging time. We're excited to tell that story and really work with banks on their digitization strategies.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on here and share that story with everyone listening today that are scattered all over the world. But before I do let you go, for anyone that wants to take a little bit of a deeper dive into that and find out more information about what you're doing, can you just point everyone in the direction of where they can find you online, and equally contact your team if they've got any questions?
Yeah, sure. Great. So you can reach us at finacle.com, finacle.com. And you can also reach us through Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And what you'll see is we have a great library of client stories there, which I would invite anyone interested to go in and review when they get a chance. So that's where you can reach us.
Fantastic. And like I said earlier in the episode, or like you said, should I say, as users, we are increasingly demanding that Amazon experience, which is not just about forcing a digital transformation. It's much more of a digital revolution in the banking industry. And for me, what I think brought all that to life today was you sharing those client stories and how you're leveraging technology at Finacle. So a big thank you for taking the time to share that with me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to doing this again soon. So thank you very much.
Wow, I feel a little relieved about today's conversation because I think there are so many reasons to be hopeful about the future of banking. From the revolution of the banking industry, payments, remittances, channels, robotic process automation, it's great to hear that they're embracing the need for a digital upgrade. But although demand for enterprise application But although there is an unprecedented demand for enterprise applications right now, what I also love about Finacle is they're continuing to remain mostly focused on, one step at a time kind of change, rather than large digital transformations that can quickly bloat and become hard to deliver. But I'd love to hear your banking stories, your thoughts on today's conversation, or indeed anything at all. Even if you just want to say, Neil, what's your favourite colour? Whatever it is, my door is open to each and every one of you. And my email address is techblogwriter@outlook.com, and my website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you will find a whole heap of ways you can work with me, and over 1,300 podcast episodes, not to mention the other shows that I host with Netgear and Citrix. I've spoken far too much for one day, so I will see you same time, same place tomorrow with another guest where we'll explore another industry of how technology is transforming it for the better. So thanks for listening, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.